Although it is not uncommon to find stone artifacts along streams with Native American place names, it is unusual to find the sheer number, similarity in pattern, material, technique. It is very unusual to find a vast amount of different techniques and materials from different cultures in one area at the rates that we find artifacts along the stream where these were found. Until I handle some of the permits, the legalities, until I have full authentication on everything, and until this has been brought forward to the eyes of the archaeological community, it's simply just a very, very nice stone tool collection found in southeastern Pennsylvania. But what I see when this collection plays out are patterns, are groupings, because these are all surface finds along a meandering stream in deposits. We have to assume that much of the context archaeologically has been lost. The geology of this place, however, lends credence to the fact that different layers will appear on the surface after different amounts of rainfall and different points of erosion. As the creek rises and falls, a new layer is flipped on top. The finds range from a time period of woodland, the Adena culture, all the way up to post-occupation after the Europeans were already here. So there are things such as even glass arrowheads in the collection, arrowheads that are as recent as late 1700s. Okay, and then there are tools, techniques, and artifacts in this collection that date back to the Ice Age, all found along a few deposits, one stream. Why was this area so important to so many different people over such a long period of time? Yes, it can be stated that the area is extremely rich in geological diversity. There are metals, ores, including nickel, iron, lead, mercury, silver, found in this area. There is also a large deposit of soapstone, which was a commodity the Native American people, along with quartz, agate, every possible type of stone material you would need to create any stone tool or effigy. The area also shows signs of things being left that aren't utilitarian, that are more refined. Pendants, ornaments, art, polished and semi-precious axe heads and celts. And these have all seemed to be found at crossing points, left as an offering, left as some sort of religious or cultural meaning or spirituality that is lost to us. I have also found a preserved wooden atlatl handle or spear throwing handle. this is early. It could be Algonquin, could be Lenape, or it could be or Proto-Algonquin. And then at one point there is obviously signs of conflict in the archaeology where there are Lenape and Algonquin style tools intermingled, warfare style tools intermingled with warfare or weaponry of the Susquehannock, which moved in later or more recent in our time, pushing through probably from 1100 all the way up until early 1700s, pushing the Lenape tribes across the Delaware River into New Jersey. Remember, the Susquehannocks, by the time of occupation, the Europeans controlled mostly all of the central United States that was known then. Pennsylvania, Maryland, parts of Virginia, parts of New York, most of Ohio. These were the lands of the Susquehannock. But this collection is far more than just Susquehannock artifacts. I would say potentially 1/3 of the collection has context which could be identified as Susquehannock. The rest is Lenape, Algonquin, and then a much, much, much older people that came before either one of these groups existed. And parts of the collection that show this are points that indicate fluting, as in fulsome design, knives and hand axes used from a fracture design with materials such as obsidian and flint. And this is a much older stylistic approach, almost similar to the tools we find that the Neanderthals left behind. Anyway, it's just a very, very interesting collection, and I am advancing research and trying my best to enlighten the world, or at least add another piece of information to a lost time in history, a very unknown time, the origins of humanity in and on the North American and South American context, to help map ancient migration patterns. And we can go deeper. Was there European influence? Was there a Stone Age culture that had the ability to migrate across the Atlantic Ocean and inhabit parts of the East Coast? Was there people prior to even them that came over during the beginning and middle stages of the last ice age, following the ice across as it dropped down from the north, probably encompassing all the way into the New York area with a sheet of ice? The whole ice sheet dropped, and continuing across the Atlantic. Could they have just followed the ice sheets over in canoes over time, hunting seals? It's very possible. But without archaeological information to back it up, none of these can be answered. They can only be speculated based on anthropological sources and the oldest written account. It's collections like these, found right in our own backyards, that can change the way we think about things. Anyway, it's a very, very interesting subject, and as I learn more, do more research, gather more evidence, I'll present more theory. My theory right now is that the group known as the Susquehannock, as we know, did push out the Algonquin. They earned the name Mingo or Mingwa or Minzi or Minque. Two of these names have very distinct meanings. One means vicious or deceitful or enemy from a foreign place. And Minqua or Minsqua literally translates to the tribe without a penis, which is the most interesting thing anthropologically. If these are ethonyms or names given by another people for another culture from the outside looking in, we have to draw a conclusion. Most of their names were given as descriptors. All the other names are Susquehannocks, the Constoga, the Andasi. These were all names associated to either where these people originated from or lived by or looked like. It would be no different than the names given by the Algonquin for the Susquehannock. Where did they pick up a name meaning tribe without penis? The only thing I can conclude, and some of the archaeology backs this up with phallic type symbols in certain places, left in certain places, carved in small rocks and effigy stones. I can only assume that clans within the group of people known as the Susquehannock practiced circumcision, and they did it in a form of a ritual, and this was observed by people from other tribes, either spying or watching, and it looked to them from afar that the genitalia or penises were being removed or cut or somehow altered by a sharp stone tool in a ritualistic fashion. This is probably what earned them this name, which is a very important clue in tracing back the roots of a certain people. We know the Susquehannock, at least half of their genetic tree stems from the Mohawks. The other half, which was a tribe that originated from the valley of the Great River, thought to be either Ohio River or the Mississippi River. Their own origin myth states that they crossed the Appalachians, and once east of the Appalachians, they intermingled or assimilated with a group of Mohawk, breaking away around 1000 AD, forming the large group under the name the Susquehannocks, also known by the Wyasox, the Minqua, the Mingo, the Andasti, the Constoga. There's all different types of antonyms or ethonyms given to this group of people. Very interesting, though, that you have a different channel to research the circumcision practice or ritual amongst native peoples of both North and South America. Surprisingly, yes, Native American tribes did practice circumcision, but the majority of these tribes were tribes either from South America, like the Mayans and the Aztecs, or tribes like parts of the Cherokee and parts of the tribes from Florida, Tennessee area, more Adena-based cultures as well, mound builders. But these groups all practice circumcision for both spiritual and hygienic reasons. It prevents disease, parasites, and infections in warmer climates, and may have started as a symbolic gesture for the chiefs. As we know, the Mayans and Aztecs often practiced phallic mutilation during times of drought to inspire rainfall, things like that. So we can draw some cultural context from these practices. But the collection here is a mixture of many different time periods, and it can tell a pretty fascinating story. There are even parts of the collection that are European. You have early English colonial spoon that can be traced to revolutionary soldiers, actually under Washington. There is a small clay pipe. This means that it's probably from the 1500s, because tobacco was still expensive then, so the pipes were much smaller. And then there are tons of crescent-type artifacts and diamond shape and more Neolithic and Mesolithic in their symbolism. So it's a mystery. but all of these finds and research bring about clues. Please enjoy. And whether you agree, disagree, that's your choice. The key thing is, if you're interested, check it out.